it going, everyone? We are back again for some week 6 kicker takes with Denny. How's it going, Denny?
Not bad. I hope everyone had at least some exposure to Adam Vinatieri last week, because that was a cool 23 points, wasn't it?
That's the easiest. That's the easiest 23 points you can score in fantasy football right there. I mean, compared to like a wide receiver, running back getting 23 from a kicker is just something else.
Once he got to double digits, I think he had 12 at one point in the early second half, and I was like, man, what that's a solid day. Like, even if it just ends up with 12, I'm happy about that. And then it was like he hit a 40-yarder at 16, and then another one, and I was like, oh my god, he's at 20. And I mean, but it just felt like free money. But on the other side of the coin, I played against him in a redraft in 3 leagues. And let me tell you, that was one of the most tilting experiences I've ever had.
Because, your team could have been way better. You could have outscored the guy by a significant margin in all the important pieces, and then just, brutal.
Just unbelievable. But but hey, Vinatieri was good. And, part of the reason we focused on him was because the Bears are giving up a lot of field goal attempts, and so that data that we've been collecting is starting to pile up and sort of create a clearer picture than we had 2, 3, 4 weeks ago.
Right. And again, you talked about with the Mason Crosby min price play. I mean, 12 is still great. If someone gets over 8, I'm really happy. It's just this week had a weird play. But overall, I guess we should be forward thinking here and move on to week 6 instead of talking about the pain.
Yes, let's do that.
In terms of the high priced guy, you wrote up Graham Gano against the Saints. I'm assuming you're down for this with or without Cam, or does that change things for you?
Well, Derek Anderson looked pretty horrific on Monday night. But this is the Saints, and the Saints are giving up just a ton of, their yards per pass attempt, their yards per completion, their total passing yards given up. It's all, borderline off the charts. So, as far as correlation goes between passing production and kicker production, that's why I'm keying in on Gano. It's indoors. The over under is very high. So let's see. I had a stat in the article this week. The Saints are giving up 2.2 field goal tries, which is the 8th most in the league. And the last time that we mentioned Gano on the show and in the column was against the Niners, when I think it was week 2, when Carolina had an unbelievably high implied total, and he ended up with a really nice day, 18 fantasy points that day. So I like him again.
And so again, I think we look at Graham Gano last week, and their running game isn't that strong other than Cam Newton, especially around the goal line. I mean, Cameron Artis-Payne, whatever, he had those 2 rushing touchdowns, but those could have very easily been, field goals. So I think we're looking at that again. I don't expect, the rushing game to dominate again, even against this Saints team. So I think Gano's in a good spot here.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as mid-price plays, I have 2 this week. One is a guy I'm really focused on. The other is a guy we've mentioned a few times and really hasn't come through. I'll start with the lesser of the 2 options in my view. It's Chris Boswell for Pittsburgh. This is a good week to stack your Steelers, right? They're playing the zombie, formerly known as the Miami Dolphins. There's going to be a lot of scoring in this game on at least one side of the ball. So, So I like the Steelers Boswell stack, actually. Steelers defense Boswell stack. The one thing with the Steelers is that they score a lot of long distance touchdowns, and they're really good once they get inside the 20. So Boswell is not seeing a lot. I think he has 5 field goal attempts this season. So the opportunity has not been there, but he's $200 less than Gano, and I think you could do a lot worse. But my main mid price play, the guy that I have in a lot of lineups, tournament and cash, Steven Hauschka for Seattle. Hauschka scored 25 points for the Seahawks over the past two games. He has a history of really nice production at home, and they are, of course, at home. He's also $4,800, so same as Boswell. So I'm definitely leaning Hauschka's way. I mentioned in the article, kickers are only averaging 6.75 fantasy points against the Falcons, and they're only attempting 1.4 field goals. So those numbers don't point in that direction, but the Falcons are also being gouged via the air. And so there's reason to believe that the Seahawks will be able, to move the ball up and down the field against a defense that is not good.
And this is more your area of expertise, but I know in season-long leagues, in one of mine, Hauschka was on the waiver wire because he had his bye last week, and I don't think he's been doing that well this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if he's there, you should definitely, grab him now because I think he's a guy for, every week from now on.
I see. Yes, that's a really good point. Thanks for mentioning that. He is available in at least 2 leagues that I'm in, so I have put in waiver claims. I'm blowing my cover here if anybody's watching from my leagues here, but yeah, I do want him, and I think he can be easily an every week starter.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And yeah, I think that Seattle team's a nice move in general. I mean, you look at Jimmy Graham and Russell Wilson and all those guys. So yeah, I think they'll be able to move the ball. Should be a high scoring game there. So it wouldn't be our kicker takes without some low priced options. Connor Barth making his way onto the show against the Jags. I mean, we didn't want to believe it week 1 with Brian Hoyer. The next week he does it again, and he does it again. I mean, I guess we just start to trust this Bears offense against bad defenses,
Yeah, and I will say that, and we mentioned this on Living the Stream this week, that there's a lot of data that shows that the Jacksonville secondary is actually not that bad, and that's sort of a different take than we're used to having because we're always targeting the Jaguars defense, but their secondary has not been bad. Their run defense has been pretty bad. But the main reason I think Barth stands out is he's at home. They have a pretty nice implied total that the Bears do, and Jacksonville gives up 2.2 field goal tries per game and 11.5 kicker fantasy points per game, which is among the most in the league. So kickers have had a lot of success against the Jaguars, and I think that the life that the Chicago offense has showed with their best quarterback Brian Hoyer is hopeful for anybody in that offense.
Sadly, at this point, I don't even think that's that hot of a take. It's like I just feel like it's true.
It's true. I know. I saw a couple beat writers, national beat writers saying, oh, this is funny about Hoyer. Cutler's great. Cutler's this. Cutler can make throws that he can't make. So what? I mean, this is what we've been saying about Cutler for like 7 years now, is that Cutler can make all the throws. So what? It doesn't translate to anything.
At the end of the day, he can certainly fire that 40-yard play action touchdown, but we've just seen it too many times where he's just the guy. He's going to have those 3-4 interception games. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I get he is like the prototype quarterback, and I get that, but this offense is clearly much better with Hoyer under center, and I think Barth has had a couple nice weeks with Hoyer under center, so I think that continues this week.
Absolutely. So are there any? So you're definitely on Hauschka the most with price considered. Is there anything else you want to throw in there before we head out?
If I ever mention Tampa Bay's kicker, Aguayo, if I ever mention him as a recommendation in this column or on the show, you have permission to punch me in the neck because that guy is terrible. I said on Twitter the other day, and for those of you who might have missed Monday night, did he miss 3 field goals?
I think it was two,
Two. Okay.
but it felt like five. And I mean, I think he was 3 of 7 on the year heading
Yeah.
into that last field goal.
Yeah. So he's really quite bad. He's like a golfer who has the yips, with on the putting
Yeah.
green, and can't make a 3 or 4 foot putt, and just can't stay steady, or just can't see the line anymore, and just continually misses these short putts. And there's actually nothing you can do physically for that. That's all mental. That's all between the ears. So that's kind of what he reminds me of right now.
I mean, and I think the Buccaneers are partially to blame for this because if you're a second round kicker, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't miss. You got to be like Steven Goskowski and just literally never miss, or else like people hate you. So I mean, yeah, it was bad. I was happy for him, honestly. I think we all were collectively
I
at the end.
was.
Like, thank God, because if he missed that, he like,
Well,
I think they would just IR him or something.
yeah, I mean, you would have to move on
Yeah.
from him. I mean, there's no way that you could keep on, because he single-handedly would have cost the team. But I have to say even that last kick,
No, it wasn't comfy.
that had a lot of hook on it. That had a lot of hook. I mean, that was if that thing was 10 yards further back, that's not going in.
Yeah.
It
And
was not good.
and again, like sometimes you can be contrarian in DFS, and then sometimes it's like sometimes it's just a bad play, And I even in good spots, I just the ownership's going to be low, but it's just not worth the risk with him right
Yeah.
now, at least.
So this will be an Aguayo-free zone, I promise.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, if you want to check out Denny's article, it's on dailyfantasycafe.com. So go there and check it out. If you like what we're doing, follow us on Twitter, CD Carter 13, correct?
That is correct.
All right. This is a good plug. You can tell. And as always, if you like the YouTube videos, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you guys next week.